So today we have a slightly more interesting topic in the sense that it's a new edition and not a lot of people read about it even in your regular uh, course in the residency. Not many people will be talking about it. So, but it's an extremely upcoming procedure, not just upcoming, I mean more so upcoming in India, but there are very good number of these procedures being done in US. And this is something embolization in general, may it be fibroid, may it be prostate. People are doing it for thyroid. So in general, embolization is going to come up in a big way in various diseases now. And geniculate artery embolization is being done in cases for arthritis, knee arthritis. People are doing it for tendinitis, even capsular adhesivitis, which you call the frozen shoulder. So this is one thing we'll talk about. I'll give you some idea about the anatomy. It's a slightly extensive presentation, but I'll just give you the amount of things that you need to know. So as we move ahead, if there are any questions, you can keep posting it to them in the chat. So we all know what BPH is. That's important because when we move towards radiology, we sometimes leave out the clinical part, and now you have to come back. When you start thinking about IR, you need to come back and need to understand the disease. It's not only about doing the procedure. We all know it is the benign proliferation of prostate cells, which leads to compression of the urethra and leads to lower urinary tract symptoms. And there are two types of symptoms. Primarily, you divide it into storage and empty. Storage is, you're not able to store enough urine. You have to quickly go out, do it frequently. At night, you have to, get up because the bladder storage has been reduced. And emptying is the stream. That is whether there is kind of hesitation, micturition time is longer, stream is slow, volume per second is less. So those things dribbling at the end, these are all emptying or voiding symptoms that can be there. Important is to understand the scoring system. IPSS is the important scoring system that we talk about. And once you start grading it, you'll realize how to grade it. Of course, all of this you learn more when you start seeing these patients. But it's like minimum, you should have moderate symptoms. Less than moderate symptoms, you put on medical management. From moderate and above, you can think about offering the patient the option. If medical management patient is happy, symptoms are relieved, his score comes down, then perhaps nothing is needed. But if a patient needs treatment, then you have to give them option. Mostly patients go to urologists and they don't really receive this option for now in India. That is the biggest problem. And TURP is of course the usual option that is there, and this is another option. Of course, associatedly you can talk about in erectile dysfunction classification, because many a time the patients are on medications which are useful for BPH, but they have sexual side effects. So that is where this IIEF is important. You need to think about these because that also improves if you take the patient off medication and you can do a procedure which helps. Then you do the urodynamic testing, flow volumetry. We all know the flow curves if we seen in your internship. And sometimes we have to do a pressure testing where which is more invasive. In that you have to place probes in the patient's urinary and rectal region, bladder and rectum. So then you do the dynamic study whether the pressures are going up or down. And then you have the PSA, of course, to evaluate the risk of prostate cancer. As you know, therapeutic strategies are incremental, lifestyle, then medical, and then more invasive. And the medical management includes muscle relaxant like alpha 1 receptors, antagonists, and size reducers, which are basically 5 alpha reductase inhibitors. So they reduce the effect of testosterone and therefore cause reduction in size of the prostate, whereas alpha blockers are basically muscle relaxants, which allow for easier passing of the urine. Then you have invasive options which include TURP, which has been currently the gold standard. Then there are laser methods, open prostate enucleation if they're very large prostates. But what we are planning today in talking today is prostate artery embolization. So there is a proper guideline in CIRSE on the CIRSE standard practices on prostate artery embolization. Indications, as I said, moderate to severe BPH symptoms, that is the IPSS score, and failure of Medical management. Of course, you have to initially always try 3 to 6 months of medical management. Then comorbidities, look at patients who are requiring anticoagulation, antiplatelet therapy, higher risk for surgery. They are definitely good candidates for the procedure. Younger sexually active patients who have sexual side effects with medicine, don't want to have side effect, want a proper surgery, don't want side effects of TURP. They're a good candidate. Urinary retention due to BPH without an upper limit of prostate size. So if you have very big prostate size and urinary retention, morely acute. It's more of in the acute subacute phase. Chronic retentions, it becomes difficult even if you treat, because by now the bladder has kind of become, muscles have gone down. That means been a long standing one. So if the PVR or the post vital residue is very high, then you have to start thinking whether will we achieve how much with the procedure. And PAE also is useful if there is hematuria of prostatic origin. There it definitely is another indication for prostate artery embolization. So this is the scoring system I've told you before: IPSS score, quality of life score, urine peak flow rate. So when we do the urodynamic uroflowmetry, we look at the flow rate, which is peak Q max, that is less than 15. Prostate volume should be on the higher side, more like 30, 40 and above, because you want to reduce the size of the prostate. Reduction helps more if the initial size was high. If it's more of the median lobe hypertrophy, the central part which is large, then maybe it's better to start thinking on terms of surgical resection would be better. And post-void residual should not be very high. So up to 200 is good. If it's very high, then you think whether it's the bladder itself has kind of um, become a little fatigued. The contraindications to PAE are patients with bladder diverticuli, size more than 2 centimeter, bladder stones. These are things which are indirectly also reasons for going for cystoscopy and other treatments. So if you're anyways going for all that, then better you can go for PAE. Also for TURP. Also detrusor hyperactivity, hypocontractility, neurogenic bladder. These all things require more management, which is medical, and they are not going to be improved even with the PAE. So you need to make sure that these things are not there, because then your procedure might end up getting a bad name that we did PAE, still patient is not improving. PSA more than 4, of course, we need biopsy. So anyways, you need the tissue, so better to go for TURP where you do get the cuts. Then imaging, of course, ultrasound. We all know ultrasound KUV, PVR with post-void residue has to be done. Prostate volume, if the patient can get a transrectal, then even better. So you do the prostate volume, get maybe 30, 40, 50 is good. Above that, then it makes more sense to do PAE. Preoperative imaging can include a CT angiography or an MR angiography to assess the pelvic vessels, because this is the disease of slightly older people. And say if there's very severe atherosclerosis, then you might not even be able to reach into the small prostatic arteries. Then entire planning is a bit of a problem. Also, these are small vessels. It's good to see where their origin is, map out them, plan it all before going for the procedure. It helps in the procedure itself. So what MRI will provide, it will tell you about the bladder thickness, the diverticuli, if there is any tumor, any stone. So all those contraindications and things that you needed to rule out. It will give you prostate anatomy, any asymmetry, any lesion which can be high pyrids and you need biopsy anyways. So all those things can be important. Pelvic nodes and any other incidental neoplasia can be picked up. The important part is understanding the anatomy. So there is a main prostatic artery or the superior prostatic pedicle. They supply the medial branch or the central gland. So basically there are two parts of the prostate. One is the central gland and one is the peripheral zone. We all know central gland and the peripheral zone. And there are two prostatic vessels primarily. One is the superior prostatic or the superior vesicular branch from which you get this prostatic pedicle, and one is the inferior prostatic pedicle. This is usually there are two basically prostatic arteries which usually arise. The inferior one is primarily from the internal pudendal artery and supply both to the CG and the peripheral zone. So do you need to understand the anatomy? The internal iliac divides into anterior and posterior division, supplying the parietal and visceral branches. So the